Imagine this. Once upon a time in the middle of the ocean, thousands of years ago, there existed a civilization far beyond the technology of its age, temples covered in gold, a perfectly designed city built in circular form, and in a single night, it vanished without leaving a trace. So, was this place just a legend, or a continent that truly existed, one that history books never told us about? Why did Plato describe Atlantis in such detail? And most importantly, if Atlantis really existed, what is being hidden from us? Today we follow the trail of one of history's greatest mysteries. Here it is. Atlantis. It all began with a philosopher's pen. Everything we know about Atlantis comes from one source, Plato, one of the most famous philosophers of ancient Greece. About 2,400 years ago, Plato mentioned Atlantis in his works Timaeus and Critias. But here's what makes it interesting. Plato does not tell this story as a myth. On the contrary, he describes it as if it were a real historical event, going into remarkable detail. He even states this is not a tale, but a true account from a very ancient time. According to Plato, Atlantis was a massive island continent located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now know as the Strait of Gibraltar, in the middle of the ocean. In other words, beyond the known world, mysterious and seemingly unreachable. What was Atlantis like? The Atlantis described by Plato was an extraordinarily advanced civilization, almost unimaginable for its time. Its cities were built in perfect circles. They were filled with interconnected canals and bridges. The architectural design was nearly flawless. The Atlanteans were masters of the sea. They built large ships and traveled to distant lands. Agriculture was highly developed. The land was fertile and rich in resources. Gold and silver were abundant, and they used a mysterious metal known as orichalcum. There were great temples, palaces, and monumental structures. But perhaps the most important detail was this. Atlantis was originally a just and virtuous society. Yet, as history has shown many times, as power grew, balance began to fade. Over time, the people of Atlantis became more ambitious, more greedy, more arrogant. According to Plato, the virtues that once made them exceptional slowly disappeared, and at that very moment the fate of Atlantis was sealed. Zeus, king of the gods, decided to punish this corruption. And then it happened. Violent earthquakes, terrifying storms, and massive waves struck Atlantis. The land split apart, cities collapsed, and an entire civilization sank into the depths of the ocean. According to Plato, Atlantis was completely destroyed in a single day and night. All that remained were stories. Real history or a beautiful story? This is where the real question begins. Some historians believe Atlantis was not a real place, a fictional story created by Plato to teach a moral lesson, but others argue that it is hard to believe such a detailed description could be purely imaginary. That is why, for centuries, people have searched for Atlantis. Maps were drawn. Oceans were explored. Theories were created. Why do we still talk about it? Because Atlantis is not just a city. Atlantis is a question mark in humanity's past. Perhaps it reminds us of this. No matter how advanced we become, if we lose our values, everything can disappear in an instant. Did Atlantis really exist? We don't know. But one thing is certain. If this story has been told for thousands of years, there must be a truth within it that continues to draw us in. If it still inspires movies, TV series, books, and even video games today, then Atlantis is still alive in our imagination. And perhaps Atlantis does not want to be found. It wants to be remembered. Perhaps the real question is this. If a civilization like Atlantis existed today, how long would we be able to stand? The story Plato tells may be a warning whispered to us from the past: power, technology, and wealth. If they are not balanced by virtue, even the most magnificent civilizations can vanish in a single night. Atlantis is far more than a city lost beneath the ocean. It is a mirror of humanity. And perhaps that is why it has not been forgotten for thousands of years. So what do you think? Is Atlantis just a legend or a reality yet to be discovered? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoy mysterious and scientific journeys like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. In the next episode, we will continue asking far more questions than answers.